Hey everyone, it's Dorcas and welcome back to my channel. So with Easter just a few days away, I realized that I haven't painted any eggs in decades. So for today's video, I'm going to show you 12 simple and fun ways to decorate your eggs this year. So to prepare eggs for decorating, you'll want to hard boil them or blow them out, and I decided to blow them out because they last way longer. And in that case, all you want to do is poke a tiny hole on the pointy end of the egg and then a slightly larger hole on the bottom of the egg, the flatter end. And then you'll want to blow through the tiny hole and everything comes out through the larger one. If you're going to put anything inside the eggs, such as confetti or sprinkle or glitter, you can poke a slightly larger hole so that then you can insert whatever you want to put in. Now for the first idea, I'm just using a rolled up piece of paper to get chunky glitter inside the egg to be cracked open later on. Now you could also use finer dust glitter and just sneak them to the children of your mortal enemies because this will get everywhere. Now once all the glitter is inside, take the small piece of white tissue paper and glue it over the hole to seal up the opening before decorating the egg. You can use the same method to put in confetti or sprinkles. Just make the funnel's opening a little wider or even the egg opening a little larger just to get those chunks inside. You might have to do it little by little instead of pouring the whole thing into the funnel. To add a secret message to your egg, roll up the piece of paper on a toothpick or a tiny dowel or a paintbrush and tape it up before inserting into the egg. And then seal up the hole using the same method as before. Using shaving cream and drops of ink or food coloring onto the foam will give your eggs a cool marbling effect once you dip them in. You can use any color combinations you want, but when you start swirling them, make sure to do so lightly so that you don't fully mix the colors, but they just create this cool swirl with the white of the foam. Now dip the egg into the foam, making sure you get all sides of the egg covered, and set aside to dry for at least an hour. The longer the better. Now if you want to try out a different color combination, you can wipe out that top layer of foam and then add in your new colors. You can also use a larger aluminum pan to fill up with the shaving cream and then use different areas of the pan for different color combinations. Next, you'll want to take the egg and gently pat it down with a paper towel. Now, take care not to rub too hard as it might smear some of the ink if it hasn't had time to set in yet. And then see if you need to dip the egg again on any blank spots. And in the end, you'll be left with these cool swirl patterns that you can make in any color combination. This purple one looks like a galaxy. Now this next idea uses one of my favorite stationery items, washi tape. You'll want to paint the egg in a base color of your choice and then use thin strips of masking tape to map out a design of your choice. Getting the tape to sit down straight on a curved surface might be a little tricky, but that's the beauty of masking tape, that you can reconfigure it and not really damage the surface underneath. Once you have all your pieces of tape in place, take a secondary color and paint over the exposed areas of the egg. Just note that if you're painting a lighter color over a darker color, you might need 2 or 3 coats just to get the saturation just right. Once this coat of paint has dried, remove the washi tape and you'll have stripes in that base color. You can make even cooler designs by adding more masking tape to cover, the initial layers, and adding more paint and just really building it up from here. Next, we're using that same concept, but instead of washi tape, we're using string to protect that first base from the second coat of paint. After painting this egg with multiple layers of black, I took some string and wound it around the egg and held it in place with a piece of tape. Then I took some spray paint and blasted the egg with some gold. And once the egg is completely dry, just unwrap the string to see what cool patterns I made. Now I apologize for the bad camera work in this one, but this one just shows a simple technique where I dip a toothbrush into some wet paint like watercolor or watered down acrylic and just flick the bristles onto the egg in different colors. This next idea is a little bit tedious, but it comes out looking really cool. You'll want to start out with either a deep blue or a dark purple or even black base coat of paint, and then you'll go in with your Jelly Roll white pen and start drawing little dots in different sizes to resemble stars. I like to draw little crosses over some of the larger dots for variety and for it to resemble a star's gleam. This is easily one of my favorite ones that I created. So for my next Easter egg design, I decided to give decoupage a little go. I found these cute butterflies and flowers and illustrated leaves from a magazine I had lying around, and I cut carefully around the edges and started arranging them on the egg using Mod Podge glue. Now you'll notice that I decided to leave the egg white instead of painting it first, and that's because once I started applying the little illustrations, I noticed that I didn't cut closely enough to the outline. So I had a tiny border of white around the illustrations, and I think if I had painted the egg first and then applied the illustrations, it would have looked a little weird to me. So just keep that in mind if you decide to paint the egg first, to just try and cut as closely to the image as possible. If you don't have any old magazines lying around, you can also use newspaper clippings or stickers or even temporary tattoos, and just after you finished applying it, just apply a coat of Mod Podge or glue all over the egg to seal it in. Now for this next one, I'm going to ask you to be brave and confront your aversion to glitter, because this one is super simple and it looks really cute. Now first you want to dab some Mod Podge or any kind of glue to the bottom half of your egg, and then you're just going to dip it into a bowl of chunky glitter. Now I've used green because it resembles grass, and then used my micron pen to draw tiny flowers that are sprouting out of the grass of glitter. Now to create a gnarly marbling effect on your Easter eggs, you'll want to take a container of water, make sure the container is deep enough to submerge the egg completely, and then you'll gently add drops of nail polish in different colors on top of the liquid. Now it'll just float there, and you'll create a pattern that you like by adding more layers and just, playing with placement, and eventually the colors are going to start doing their own thing. They're going to bleed into each other or spread out when you least expect it. But this unexpected nature is all part of the fun. When you're ready to dip the egg, I would suggest putting on gloves, especially if you have a manicure that you'd like to preserve. Gently roll the egg onto the pattern and then lift it out. You'll probably have to redo this step 1 or 2 more times until the egg is completely covered. Now, if you want to step your Easter egg decorating game up a couple notches, I think you're going to like this final technique. I bought a metal leaf kit from Speedball, which I'll link to in the description below, and I applied gold leaf to my painted eggs. You'll want to start by dabbing some adhesive sides to the egg, being a little haphazard with it. We don't want a uniform coating of the glue. Let the adhesive dry for about 20 to 30 minutes until it becomes tacky, and then using one hand to hold the egg, use the other one to carefully pick up the pieces of the super delicate gold leaf. It's super thin and it will cling to everything, but once you wrap it around the egg, you can rub it into place with your finger to make sure it's flat against the surface and that all sticky areas are covered. Next, use a dry brush to remove any unwanted pieces of gold leaf and any areas that didn't get dabbed with the adhesive. You'll find that it just falls off really easily. If I had the foresight, I totally would have created a mini globe here. And finally, you'll want to apply a sealer, which came with this particular kit, and this is to keep the gold leaf from tarnishing over time. And I loved it so much that I needed to do more than one, so I did one in blue and one in pink. Ta-da! So pretty!
So I hope you got some good ideas on what to do with your Easter eggs this year. I think this would be a fun activity to do with your family, your kids, or if you're having friends over for Easter Sunday brunch, you can send them home with a little souvenir. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!